I got another question for you. The question is this. This is what we're going to ask. What in the world is sin? Are you going to click if you talk about sin? I wouldn't click away from this one. This is going to be fun. I'll be right back, right here on Vintage Wisdom. Hello, I'm Dr. Ed Montgomery. Welcome to Vintage Wisdom. Vintage Wisdom is about vintage. It's about not just old, but it's about something that is unique. Vintage means unique. They would crush grapes when they got ready to make a unique kind of wine. We talk about the new wine, the new fresh wine, the new wine that Jesus would speak about going into old wineskins. So new wine is a fresh way of thinking. You can't put a fresh way of thinking in an old structure. Sometimes you got to get rid of the structure, get a new structure, put a new way of thinking in so it doesn't explode the structure. This is what's been happening out there. We're asking people to think about things, really think about things. Think. And they're trying to put the old way of thinking in, or should I say, they're trying to, get this old structure and put new ways of thinking in it, and it's exploding. People are going absolutely bananas. Now, here's one of the subjects that we've been talking about. We've talked a little bit about hell. What do you think about that? I got another one for you. What do you think about sin? Now, before you turn me off, I'm going to say this. Sin may feel good. Sin may feel good. Well, if you're thinking about sin the way most people think of sin, that whatever I want is something I want to do that I like, but it's a sin. I want to be over here, but it's a sin. I want to be with that particular but it's a sin. I want to be with that person this particular way, but it's a sin. Look, I'm up for anything, but it's a sin. So you're asking people, what's the fun about living if you can't sin? Well, let me tell you about sin on this video. You ready? First of all, the word is a Greek word. All of our language comes out of the Greek. Jesus spoke Aramaic, but a lot of people couldn't deal with Aramaic. So they translated the Bible out of some in Aramaic, but mostly, Jesus spoke in Aramaic, but all the Bible writers, the Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, translated the Bible into Greek. Here's how they did it. They went around years after Jesus was gone. That's right, decades after Jesus was gone. And they began to ask people, sometimes people who were eyewitnesses with Jesus, sometimes the children of eyewitnesses, or the grandchildren, even the great-grandchildren of people who knew people who knew people who had heard of Jesus. And they would ask them, well, what did he say? One person said he would say, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. And so they would ask somebody else, somebody would say, ye are the light of the world. He said, not ye. Ye is ancient, is Old English. So let me get up. He would say, you are the light of the world. Or he might say something. He would talk about marriage and who was the person in the resurrection when they married. They would talk about all these different subjects. And the more, say you got 2 people who talked about this, but 2,000 who talked about that. They would take that and put that in the manuscript more so than this. In other words, these only had 2 folk in the chat. This had 2,000 in the chat. So guess who's going to really get their opinion out there, right? Of course. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Basically, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, Matthew, Mark, and Luke were what is called synoptic gospels, the way we see things. It's like CBS, ABC, NBC. We see things differently. And they see Jesus from different angles. That's why when you read all three, you can hear the same scripture, but coming from different angles. It doesn't mean that one is a mistake or one is wrong. It just means there's three different angles. Why? Because the Bible is designed to cause you to think. Not just accept it mentally, but to think about it, to follow Jesus, to engage with him. Remember last week? We talked about that last week. We talked about what belief was last week when we dealt with that whole thing about hell. Sin is what we're dealing with now. Here is what that definition of sin is. This comes right out of the Greek. It means somebody takes an arrow, shoots the arrow at the bullseye. You know what the bullseye is. And the arrow is flying through the air. Hopefully, we want the arrow to hit dead center of that bullseye. That means you hit the bullseye. If you miss the center, that means you go off into the blue area or the red area or the other area. You don't hit the center. No matter how much you try, you keep missing the center. What does that mean? You keep missing the center. You keep missing the center. You keep missing the mark. You keep missing the direction you want to go. You keep missing what you really want to do. To miss what you really want to do. To miss your goals. To miss to miss what you want to accomplish. To miss the mark is the definition of sin. Wow. Wait a minute, Dr. Ed. That's not what they taught me in church. Sin is because you did this with so-and-so, or you took this, or of course you got the 10 commandments. Thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not kill. All of these, we understand these lies. We understand these particular, that lying is sin, and killing is sin, and stealing. We understand all that. But sometimes you can have what they call the sin of omission or the sin of commission. You can do something that's wrong, or you know what is right, not do it, and you've done what is called the sin of omission. It's crazy, isn't it? It's like if you do, you do. You're darned if you do. You're darned if you don't. But one thing you do have in your favor is you want to get good at how you shoot the arrow. So how do you spend your time? Trying not to shoot the arrow crooked? Or maybe discovering if you keep shooting the arrow crooked, maybe something is wrong with your approach to archery. That's how they thought back then. It's archery. Maybe there's something wrong with your arrow. Maybe there's something wrong with the feathers. Maybe there's something wrong. Maybe the tip is bent. Maybe the arrow shaft is a little warped in wood. It's set out in the weather too long. Maybe you can't pull the bow back. Maybe you haven't developed your muscles. Maybe you're shaking. Maybe you don't know how to hold your breath. It's learning how to shoot the arrow the best you can until you discipline yourself to get what you want. What do you want? When you start discovering what you want, and what you want is important for you to have, then you start working on your focus with that arrow, and you learn to stop sinning. When you want something bad enough, they tell a story, and I'm going to give you the story, and I'm going to be out of your hair. So don't go anywhere. Watch this real quick. I'm gonna break in right here. Just break in with something. And I'll be right back. Okay? All right. I know I'm not supposed to be interrupting right here, but remember, myalc.org That's myalc.org. And you can also give at 713-742-2035. You can use your text to give or use your app. If you're on the app, you can go right to that donate button and it won't change anything. You say, why in the world would you break my concentration? I'm sorry, but I wanted you to remember, because you know what? Just like there's a break in here, there's also going to be a breakthrough in your life. I believe that. Now, let's go back. Listen, the story is told, and stay right here, because and make sure you, by the way, make sure, I'm going to tell you the story. Hit those likes, hit the comments. Let me know, what do you think sin is? Notice I didn't say, what do you believe? We talked about that last week. If you haven't watched last week's Vintage Wisdom, then you're not going to know what I'm talking about. What do you think sin is? Listen, it's not a sin for you to think differently than other people. You may think, what is the most horrible thing you can, not liking Voting Rights Act is a horrible sin to me. Trying to keep people from voting, that's big time sin. But there's church folk behind a lot of that big time sin. Yeah. What do you think it is? Write in your comments. Tell me. Talk to me right here on Vintage Wisdom. But here's what I was going to tell you the story. It's an old story. A little boy was sitting on the dock of the bay, sitting on the dock of the bay. And right there by some water. And so the little boy was asking his grandfather about what is success. And the grandfather took the little boy's head, shame on granddaddy for this, and stuck his grandson's head up under the water. He knew, he was watching him. And the little boy was shaking. And the little boy was just shaking and flailing. And then finally, the grandfather pulled him up. And the boy was, because he knew the boy could swim, but he hadn't taken a deep enough breath. And the little boy was, oh, Granddad, why did you do that to me? The grandfather gave him a lesson, and that lesson was this. You have to want success as much as you wanted that last breath. When you want that bad, it's when you'll get it. Listen, when you're ready to work on how to strengthen your arm, to pull back that arrow, to fix the shaft of that bow, to pull that string back and to focus and shoot with confidence, whether you miss it or whether you hit it, you've given it your best try. And what you do is you ask and call for the strength of God that is within you to give you the ability to make it happen. You focused on sin? Focus on your power. See you next week. Hey, this is Dr. Ed. We've been on this journey for over 40 years. Some have been there with us for almost 40. Some have just started this journey with us. But what we've been able to do is help people to find joy, peace, enlightenment. They have grown tremendously, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and it's all because of your contributions, your help, our journey on this road. Take a moment. Make a contribution at myalc.org. That's myalc.org. That's our website. That's our main place where you're even able to watch our show on Sunday mornings. Not only that, but you can also give through our app. And you can download that app from Google Play, or you can download it from the App Store. by just typing in Abundant Life Center, or you can type in Ed Montgomery and the Abundant Life Center app will pop up and you can download it. It only takes a few moments, and you can have that way. You can carry us with you on your phone and your iPads and all those kind of good things. Not only that, but you can also do text to give. That's very popular because people are able to give if they forget to be on their website or their app. They can just give right on the spot, real fast, real quick. Sometimes they do text to give even when we're inside of a church service. And you can do that by texting to 713-742-2035. That's 713-742-2035. Or you could give through our P.O. Box. Safe, sound, secure. You can give, you can make sure you put a stamp on the envelope, but you can, write us a little note, drop me a little note, whatever you want to do, and mail it. There are some folks that's just, hey, I'm just going to mail this. And you can mail your contribution, and that's to the Abundant Life Center, P.O. Box 772-300, Houston, Texas, 77215. I'm going to say it again. That's that old radio thing. You got to say it twice. Abundant Life Center, P.O. Box 772-300, Houston, Texas, 77215. Continue on this journey with us. And if you're new for the first time, start this journey with us. I promise you, not only will it change your life, but you'll change the life of so many around you. And that'll make you feel real good inside. Thanks. Hey, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Hit that subscribe button, smash it, crash it. Let us know you're there.